I want to thank everybody for joining us here on Facebook Live today. Many students in the Omaha Metro on the Nebraska side of the river have gone back to school in the last week or two. Council Bluffs students and our friends in Iowa are going back this week for the majority of them. And what that means, back to our routine, all good things and unfortunately some bad things. So today we want to focus in on health and wellness of students. So we welcome in Dr. Johnson from Nebraska Medicine. She's at the Fontanelle Health Center located at 50th and Ames. Dr. Johnson, thanks for taking a few minutes out of your busy day to talk to us today.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks for having me.
Let's just talk about general precautions. Kids go back to the classroom. There's 20, 25 students in one particular classroom. They're around a lot more of their peers than they were throughout the summer. What should families and parents be aware of to do their best to limit any type of illness?
So obviously, basics of good hand hygiene, making sure kids are washing their hands if we're eating, those type of things, covering their cough. When they cough, those type of things. Obviously, if your child is ill with any type of respiratory symptoms or GI bugs or any type of rash, it's probably a good idea to keep them home and get your child evaluated first before sending them back to school, just to make sure they aren't contagious and to protect the other children in the classroom, as well as teachers and everyone else that's taking care of our kids and teaching our kids.
What, if anything, do we know about the upcoming flu season?
Yeah, it's always hard to know. I think the past couple of years, the flu has kind of surprised us in many ways about when it hits and what we see. So I think the best thing as a pediatrician, I strongly recommend kids getting their flu shots kind of in the early fall season. October is a great month to do that. Flu shot, we do our best as when they're making the flu shot to provide good coverage for the flu virus that we're going to be seeing that season. And so I do, and overall statistics show that kids that get their flu shots, even if they do get flu, get much less ill from that virus. So I do recommend getting that flu shot.
There is a new COVID booster just around the corner. What do we know about that, and what is your recommendation for who should get it?
Yeah, we're still kind of waiting for specific guidelines as far as what ages will be available for that booster, although we're all anticipating it's going to be for Pfizer and Moderna 6 months and up that will be approved for that booster is what we're anticipating. And then for Novavax, it'll probably be 18 years and up for that booster. That booster will be kind of an updated formulation, so should cover more of the newer variants that we're seeing. I will be recommending that as well to my families. It should be rolling out sometime in the fall as well, around the same time as the flu shot. It'll be totally okay to do both the flu shot and the COVID booster at the same time for your children, and I will be recommending that for sure. Again, we are anticipating it'll likely be 6 months and up for the Pfizer and Moderna boosters, and it again will help protect from severe illness from COVID.
Okay, good advice there. Back to school routine. Some schools in sports require physicals and checkups before kids go back to participate, but many kids don't fall into that bucket. What is your recommendation for yearly checkups for especially someone who's young and healthy?
Yeah. So as a pediatrician, we strongly recommend that kids come for those that are school age. So you're 5 years and up, come once a year for an annual checkup. It's really important. I know that the state of Nebraska for public schools requires a kindergarten physical as well as a 7th grade physical as like kind of a minimum, but we really recommend seeing kids on a yearly basis for a variety of reasons. Obviously to make sure the kids are growing well, but also to address really important anticipatory guidance, healthy eating, healthy exercise. The AAP does recommend that all children exercise 5 and up at least 60 minutes a day. So I know that surprises a lot of families, but in those visits we can talk about a lot of those healthy behaviors to keep kids healthy as they grow up and into their adulthood. So it is really important to make sure your kids are coming at least on a yearly basis for those annual checkups.
You mentioned the exercise. What about healthy eating? What are the daily recommendations for fruits and vegetables and everything else?
Yeah, so, really getting those 5 fruits and vegetables a day are really, really great. I know that can be hard with our kids, especially picky eaters. I've got one of those in my home. But, we really just encourage offering healthy options at every meal. It takes many, many exposures for kids to start trying things. So I tell my families, keep offering those healthy foods and, again, and again, and again. And eventually your kids will start trying them. It really will happen over time. And so just really offering those healthy options at every meal, and even if they don't eat at that time, just keep offering, and you might be surprised when they start actually trying some of those healthy fruits and vegetables. vegetables.
All right, that's good advice because I have a picky eater in my household, so I'll just keep putting it on the plate and eventually we'll get there, right?
Yeah. Yep, absolutely, absolutely.
One final topic I want to talk to you about, car seats. There's a lot of carpooling that goes around right now, and families don't necessarily have 4 or 5 car seats, booster seats to get kids to and from school and whatnot. Any advice to people who carpool with like that?
Yeah, so I really think car seats are hugely important for safety for children. I know a lot of families, when I talk with them in my visits, are really surprised about some of the guidelines for car seats, and so I make a point to bring it up. But you know, really, many of our children really do still need to be in boosters through at least age 8. The guideline is the National Transportation Department does recommend that children stay in a booster through age 8. The high back boosters, a lot of kids can start aging out of those based on the weight limits of those high back boosters sometime in early elementary. So it's really important to pay attention to the weight limits of those high back boosters. But the small booster seats are easy to move in and out of cars. Personally, I have a couple of them in my garage so that I can move them in and out when we are carpooling with other families to make sure those kids are safe. In order to sit in in a seat in the car without a booster seat, the seatbelt really has to be fit snugly against the thigh, the bottom strap, and the top strap really needs to fit snugly right over the shoulder and should not be at the neck or should not be wrapped over so that the kid's not even using that strap. So most kids have to be 4'9" before they can actually sit in a seat without a booster seat. And that's really to protect them if in the unfortunate incident, you know, the child is involved in a car accident. They're not going to be well protected if they're not in that booster and not meeting those height limits. Another thing I always remind families of too is that kids are not supposed to sit in that front seat until they are 13 years old. That is a state a transportation law. And so I really do bring that up to families and remind them that really kids should not be in that front seat if they're under 13. And that's really for their safety. If they are in a car accident where there are airbags, those airbags can cause severe damage to that child and will not be protective to them. So again, it's just really important to make sure we're following those car seat guidelines and car safety guidelines just to keep kids safe because, you know, we obviously don't want children to be in car accidents, but if we are, we want to make sure they're as safe as possible.
A lot of good reminders there as we all hopefully get off to a healthy start to this new school year. That is Dr. Johnson from Nebraska Medicine, the Fontanelle Health Center. Thanks so much for giving us some time and insight today.
Great. Thank you.